I know most people don't think about us up there in the mountains. Many of my patients are miners. It's dangerous work, and they carry the burden of building this nation on their backs. They're in pain. These people, my people, trusted me. I can't believe how many of them are dead now.
By now, the word is out on the Hulu miniseries Dopesick, which premiered in October of 2021 and is based on a book written by Roanoke journalist and New York Times bestseller Beth Macy. We thought it was a good time to look at the local impact of the series, which was shot entirely in Virginia and partially in the Alleghany Highlands, including in the town of Clifton Forge. Before I go any further, I should tell you that I'm Tom Landon, and I'm fortunate to be married to Beth Macy. And before I came to work for Blue Ridge PBS, I spent some time helping the location team as the production prepared to film in Clifton Forge.
Well, when I first made the pitch to Danny Strong, our showrunner and a show creator, that I wanted I really wanted the series to be shot in Virginia, I argued that Virginia deserved it because it was one of the first areas targeted by Purdue Pharma with their, fraudulent misbranding tactics that they used. It was very much up to Danny and up to Hulu and Disney where it was shot, but he listened to me, he saw my passion, and then he liked Virginia the best. The reason I was thrilled that they chose Clifton Forge, even though the real setting is likely in far southwest Virginia, is Clifton Forge is also an area that had been targeted by Purdue and other opioid makers and distributors, and it's had its own fair share of woes because of this company.
It was really important that we shoot this show in Virginia because that's where the story took place. So much of the state had been affected by the crisis, and it just added an extra air of authenticity for the show to be shot here, and it was the crew was just so passionate about it. It was really kind of special to see how much they embraced the show and what it meant to them. Also, it was really important to Beth Macy to do the show here. She was a huge advocate for shooting the show in Virginia, and I didn't have to be that convinced. I thought it was a great idea as well. But when we got to Clifton Forge, it was pretty clear to us that this is where our Finch Creek should take place. It just was, it just had this, quintessential Virginia mountain charm, I thought, but felt very real and authentic, and had just so many locations for us. So it was really perfect.
And a lot of people misperceive Appalachia as just sort of ramshackle and roughshod, and you see the life in Clifton Forge. It might not be the shiniest town in America, but it's got a ton of heart. And so the exteriors of the Malum home, and just a lot of pride in the town, even though they've had some rough years. And so I think it's a real authentic portrayal, and that's exactly what we were going for in the show.
We were so excited to bring this opportunity to the town of Clifton Forge. And really, you cannot make this work without the great cooperation of our partners in local government. And everyone in the town just stepped up to really support it in every way, because it can be disruptive. Sometimes the trucks come in, they block parking, but it's worth it because the jobs it creates, the amount of money they put into local businesses. Dopesick itself in the Commonwealth of Virginia put over $45 million into the Commonwealth, touched more than 200 Virginia local businesses, and hundreds of people were employed. And like I said, you can't do it without great local support on the ground.
But the first conversations I had were with the Virginia Film Office and the location scouts for the project, and we were somewhat apprehensive as to whether or not our small rural community would be able to handle a project like this, but we were very excited to be able to connect them with the places and people that they needed to have as part of the production. So we were very open to reaching out to residents, businesses, and attractions in the community that might be able to serve as potential locations for the project. I think one of the things that really resonated with them was the fact that we are a small rural community in the mountains of Virginia with beautiful scenery and proximity to the railroad, to the river, and also we had the Lowmore Mine, which was, I think, an integral part of the production.
Well, I love that gas station right down Main Street in Clifton Forge, and the whole look of Main Street just felt perfect for the show. And you know, we went up to this abandoned mine that immediately was, Barry Levinson was like, "This is it. This is our mine." And then we actually, a lot of the interior of the mine we built ourselves on the soundstage. So it's pretty wild to be shooting, you know, up in Clifton Forge and then back down in on a soundstage outside of Richmond, and then cut it all together, and you would never know that it wasn't the same place. And for me, it was every morning that drive from Lexington to Clifton Forge, I just thought was magical. So to spend the first half hour of each day, this magical drive was a perfect way to start a shoot day. And Clifton Forge, we found everyone just really welcoming and excited for us to be there. And a lot of them were background in the show, which was really cool and a lot of fun. And just it was great, just bringing the process to the town and you know, especially what it was ultimately about and what the show's about. Again, it just felt like it deserved to be here. It needed to be here because this is where the story takes place.
The program premiered in October of 2021 in New York and D.C., as well as being shown in Roanoke and Richmond and in Charlottesville at the Virginia Film Festival. But the first Virginia screening occurred in Clifton Forge at the historic Masonic Theater. The town was chosen because of its role in the filming, and the locals turned out in force to see themselves and their town reflected on the big screen.
The premiere in Clifton Forge was my favorite of the several premieres that we've had so far because it felt like the whole town turned out for it. And, you know, we had a red carpet and people would come up and get their pictures taken with me. And each person had a story of like, they played 3 different people in various scenes. They were a coal miner in one scene and, you know, they were in the audience of the country store. And it was just really cool how excited they were. And one of the folks that runs the theater said it was the biggest crowd they'd had in years. And that really made me feel good. I hope the series accomplishes empathy for people who have been caught up in substance use disorders, that people will begin to see them not just as criminals or, quote, addicts, a word I don't like to use, or bad people, but rather people who've been snared in this. Many through no fault of their own, either they were prescribed or they were able to get it illicitly because they had been massively overprescribed originally because of the lies that were told by that company. And I hope people start to see them as people with a medical disorder rather than, you know, just somebody we don't care about, somebody we throw away, because that's still how we're treating them.